It'll start getting cooler. You just watch.
I wish science agreed with you.
Well, I don't think science knows, actually.
99% of scientists agree that climate change is caused by human activities. Let's unpack what that means. First off, there's no real threshold for consensus. Even though we often say things like 99% of scientists, all that really tells us is that we have a strong consensus. But you could have a strong consensus with 95% or 83%. Overwhelming consensus of any degree means that a claim has cleared a very, very high bar. It's like we've got 3,000 pieces of this puzzle and 2,996 are spelling out climate change is real and we are causing it. It would not just be weird, but wildly unlikely to uncover evidence that overturns this fact. It would be as strange as learning that atoms aren't real. Now, does this mean that we know everything there is to know about climate change? No, there's still plenty of stuff for scientists to debate and discover. But they're working on the unsettled details within the broader scientific consensus. Scientists aren't debating if climate change will bring serious warming to the planet. They're debating things like the importance of peat bogs for carbon storage or how fast methane breaks down in the atmosphere.
So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that. A lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
By the way, it's supposed to be 70 degrees today. It's freezing here. Speaking of global warming, we need some global warming?
We don't need more warming in our climate system. Just because it's cold on one particular day doesn't mean that on average the Earth isn't warming.
What about the scientists who say it's worse than ever?
You'd have to show me the scientists.
Science can tell us a lot about the world, from atoms to nutrition to climate change, but it can't tell us everything. That's just not how science works. Science is the process of becoming less wrong over time.
Everything was a new scam, green, green, green. Look, I'm all for the environmental, everything. I'm all for climate change. You know, they have a new word, climate change. It used to be global warming. It's global warming. Well, that didn't work because it started coming down. They did the global cooling thing. Then they just said, we can't keep up with this. It's too much. So we'll go, perfect words, climate change. They're covered. If it rains, if it snows, if it's warm, it's climate change is destroying the world, remember?
Actually, it's always been climate change and global warming.
As a scientist, we tend to use the term climate change because there's all sorts of changes that are happening on the planet, including global average temperatures rising over the long term. And that latter part is called global warming.
Our plan will end the EPA, which is hey, look, it's all wonderful, but it's a disaster.
The ice caps were going to melt. They were going to be gone by now, but now they're setting records.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, last year saw the second smallest annual sea ice area on record. And these images from NASA show how quickly the ice is, in fact, disappearing.
We're losing vast tracts of Arctic sea ice in the summer. And just because it's wintertime doesn't mean that you can point to sea ice in the winter and say climate change is not happening.
Consensus is all the big stuff that scientists agree on. They understand atoms enough to know what their properties are, they understand nutrition enough to offer overarching health guidelines, and they understand climate change enough to know that we are causing it.
Afraid that President Trump doesn't have even the most basic knowledge on one of the most important issues of our time.
But newspapers have covered climate change extensively. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I mean, the New York Times covers it extensively. I would just like everyone to understand that this is so important, and the president is so wrong and dangerously wrong on this. And if we get this wrong, our children, our children's children are going to suffer terribly. So you got an old man in the White House, I'm afraid. He doesn't know, he doesn't care, he hasn't studied it, and the young people are going to pay the price.
At the end of the day, scientific consensus is what emerges when an idea has consistently explained the evidence, predicted outcomes, and stood up to challenge. It's the big stuff, the things that we keep seeing confirmed again and again.
What do you think the world should be doing about climate change, and do you still harbor that skepticism?
I feel that the United States has tremendous wealth. We are now the #1 energy producer in the world, and soon it will be by far, with a couple of pipelines that have not been able to get approved for many, many years. It'll have a huge impact. I was able to get ANWR in Alaska. It could be the largest site in the world for oil and gas. I was able to get ANWR approved. Ronald Reagan wasn't able to do it. Nobody was able to do it. It's tremendous wealth, and LNG is being sought after all over Europe and all over the world, and we have more of it than anybody else. And I'm not going to lose that wealth. I'm not going to lose it on dreams, on windmills, which, frankly, aren't working too well. We can't let that wealth be taken away. Clean air, clean water. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You'd be doing windmills. And if it doesn't blow, you can forget about television for that night. They say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one, okay? You know, the thing makes it so.
We will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains, and I'm not talking about airplanes, I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States, and you look up,
and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work.
About 130 countries and territories are using wind. The top 5 in 2024 were China, the US, Brazil, India, and Germany.
You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 whales wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18. Okay? Because it's driving them loco. It's driving them crazy.
NOAA reports no evidence linking wind farms to whale deaths.
Our knowledge continues to build and grow, and those puzzles are getting more complete and more detailed all the time. But science never stops pushing at those edges of what we don't know and asking questions about the stuff we do.
Under the process just completed by the EPA, we are officially terminating the so-called endangerment finding. It's a big factor in making our country great. If you look at some of these cars, they didn't even work. They had computers all over the place trying to save a half an ounce of fuel. We have fuel for the next 500 to 1,000 years under our feet.